you spent so much time in New England where Julian Edelman and Wes Walker ran those choice routes. As you were in the offseason kind of incorporating some of these new schemes, did you show a lot of film of those guys? And if so, what were some things you really keyed on, teaching it to Amari and Jerry and Elijah and those guys?
As part of our teaching process, we always utilize film of others doing it. And that's the thing that's so nice about modern day technology is how much access we have to every team in the league, to include some of the places we've been in the past. I've been very fortunate to be around some very accomplished route runners on specific routes, choice type routes. So yes, we've gone back and really done a lot of work on looking at other players and studying them and how we can use what they do to better ourselves as far as the way we run those routes.
It's really especially good at it in New England.
Yeah, I mean, Edelman and Welker, they were, very instinctive football players. They made good decisions. They understood how the defensive scheme worked as well as what we were trying to accomplish from our offensive scheme. We're fortunate to have guys at the Cleveland Browns that are very instinctive, that are good route runners, that make good choices, that have good versatility. That's the way we built this team, is to have players that can do things in a multiple position role, and we're fortunate to have guys that can run choice type routes and move around the formation and utilize their skill set to help our football team win.
With Jerry, how valuable have the last few weeks been when he's been able to be on the field as much as he has been after being kind of on and off for a while?
The most important thing in our preparation is for the players to be on the field and to work closely with the quarterbacks and receivers working closely together. So Jerry's really put some time in here on the field, and it's been great to have him out there working closely with the quarterback, working with his other teammates, and been very helpful. And probably the most important thing we can do in our preparation is get on the field and go through that execution so it shows up on game day.
Was it tough for you to see David Bell go, and are you hoping that maybe he shows back up here in some capacity?
Yeah, a lot of confidence in Andrew Berry and how he manages the roster on a weekly basis. There's a lot of moving parts to that. It's a job that I respect a lot in the role that he has, because there's so many things that it entails to build a roster every week. So, I truly have confidence in Andrew Berry and our personnel department that they make the best decisions for our team, as well as Kevin Stefanski. So, my job is to go in the meeting room and coach the guys that are in our meeting room, and we have a great group. I think a lot of David Bell, but at the same time, we're moving into this game with the players we have in the room, and we're confident that we can go in the game and do the things that we need to help us win the game.
I know, Jamar, a rookie can learn from anybody in the room, but how valuable, Cedric was just a rookie a year ago, how valuable, being so close to Jamari, age-wise and experience-wise, how much more valuable can he be, having just gone through the process and kind of helping Jamari, adjust?
Yeah, it's a great question and a great point. Jamari's development really hinges upon Cedric being an advisor to him and saying, hey, this is how it was last year, or these are the challenges that I have as a rookie that, maybe you can look at it this way. Whether it's learning the playbook, the way in which you learn, the way in which you go about your routine in the building, just being a rookie player, the transition that is required for these players to go from college to the first year in the NFL. There's so much that entails, and having a player like Cedric, who's just gone one lap around the track, and then being right next to Jamari, who's now, going on that lap, it's very helpful. And there's obviously some things that I probably don't bring up that Cedric's going to bring up, just on how it is to emotionally be a rookie football player. So I think it's very helpful to have guys that are close in age like that to kind of fill the void and bridge the gap from what they're trying to do and experience.
Chad, we had a chance to hear from Amari yesterday and got to ask him about his name coming up in some trade rumors, and it just seems like he kind of lets that stuff roll off his back. Just what have you seen from him over the last few months since he's been back here and everything like that?
Yeah, Amari Cooper, and I've said this a lot, and I'm going to say it again because I feel so strongly about it. He is a exceptional teammate. He's a great leader. He leads by example. He's what you want in a football player as far as his work ethic and his commitment to doing the things that we ask him to do. And the one thing about Amari I've always admired and respected is his ability just to stay right down the middle, of not being too high on the highs, not too low on the lows, and really having the same consistent person every day. And that's true of him playing the game. If he drops a pass, he gets in the huddle, and he doesn't allow that play, that negative play, to affect his next. And if he makes a great play, he steps in the huddle and very level-headed. So I think that that's one of the things I respected so much about Amari, and I know that the guys have a lot of admiration for him as teammates, looking up to him just because he's so consistent coming to work every day. And coming to work every day, he really is. He's a true professional, and I think he can ignore any noise on the outside as well as anybody I've been around, and he's done a great job of that, and he's had just such great focus in this preseason, and I see a player that really is striving to be the very best at his position.
Hey Chad, what kind of challenges does a guy like Trayvon Diggs present?
Yeah, I mean, talking about Diggs and their secondary, I think that they are a very strong secondary that we're facing. It's going to be very challenging for our players. We've spent a lot of time looking at their secondary over obviously the last couple weeks in preparation, but our guys know that we have a great challenge ahead of us, and it's going to take our very best versus a very good football team on Sunday.
Last year, you guys spent some time kind of experimenting with Elijah Moore, seeing sort of where he fit. Do you feel like you have a better grasp of where he fits in this receiving core this year?
Anytime you're around a player for, more than the first year, I think it's very helpful, and just that player and you know what their strengths are. I don't like to talk in terms of weaknesses because I truly think it's our jobs as coaches to play to the player's strengths and not worry about what they cannot do. Let's worry about what they can do. And certainly Elijah, over the last year, we've seen so many of the things that he can do really well. So let's just focus on the things he can do really well, but our familiarity with what those things are better than they've ever been just because of our exposure to him on a daily basis. Another player that I speak so highly of in terms of his professionalism and his work ethic and what he brings every day. I mean, I'm very fortunate to be the coach in that room of a bunch of guys that are just professionals that work so extremely hard and are coachable. And that's something that I'm fortunate to say that I have a group of guys that do that.
Routes that we've been talking so much about. How is Deshaun doing? How are Deshaun and the receivers doing just in terms of communication, and how is it looking so far out there?
Yeah, they've been excellent. I mean, there's so much in terms of whether it's a choice route or it's just a straight go route. There's a lot that requires for us to be on the same page, and there's so many details that are required for a play to work, specifically a pass play. So we've really emphasized the details and being on the same page, and that's something that I think we're in a good place on. We've spent a lot of time. Deshaun's been out on the field. Our receivers have been out on the field healthy. So it's been very positive to see those guys work and improve every day on what we're asking them to do, whether it's a choice route or it's just let's call it just a basic route in our offense.
How does this highlight what Deshaun does well?
How does the choice route or
how does this entire offensive system highlight what he's best at?
Yeah, I mean, I think that what we do is we play to the strengths of all of our players. So within this system, obviously the one thing we've done at the receiver position is we provided him with some versatility of some players that can move around within the formation and do different things and present maybe different looks to the defense, but maybe it's the same concept for us. So I think the versatility of not only the receiver positions, but some of the strengths of our other skill positions, to include an offensive line that's going to do a great job for them. I think that's the one thing that stands out is just the versatility of some of the skill positions and how he can really utilize them to help him.
The featured choice route runner rear his head over the next several weeks, or do you already have it in your mind who that person is?
Yeah, the versatility of the group is something I've talked highly of, and I think we have guys across the board that can do this. So, we're going to have different players run a lot of different variety of routes. That's one thing that we pride ourselves a lot on in our game planning, is making sure, hey, this guy's just not the slant runner, this guy's just not the curl runner, this guy's just not the choice runner. So I think that hopefully what you see in our pass game is you see a lot of guys doing different things, because that's how we've built this team to, at the receiver position, to have versatility and really to play to their strengths.
Good?
Good.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah.
Jason, you had a lot of injuries in your position group during the course of the preseason. How much did you feel like you really saw some development? It allowed for some development from a guy like Devin, a guy like Mahmoud, even well, I guess Nathaniel to a point, but then he was what? But just the development that opened up for some of those other guys.
Yeah, it was. I'll start with Mahmoud. One of the things we wanted to see from him was growth to where he could be a rotational player in the defense going forward, and then, whatever happens, being able to take productive snaps and not miss a beat. Just go in and switch the headset if that's where he is, and go and run the show. And he got better and better at that. So that was great for Mahmoud. For Devin, he hasn't been in the system yet, so it was great to where, and he started really fast. First preseason game, he was all over the place. He did a great job. Like that third and short tackle on that big back, that was awesome. But he just got better and better at learning the system because he hadn't been in the system. So it was great reps for Devin, and he's came to with a great attitude every day. And Nate, I think it was 13 plays. I'm usually right on these numbers, so I better look it up. 13 plays against Green Bay. He learned every play he was in and got better. So we're excited for the development of those players so that they can contribute, because as you've heard me say before and heard us say before in the organization, we need everybody. If you're on the roster, we need you, and we're all treating the same way. There starts to be a depth chart announced, but we're all going to play.
And along those lines, with the injuries, Jim yesterday mentioned it is a concern on some level that there hasn't been a lot of time all together for the defense in the preseason. So, what can you do to kind of try and combat that, at least going into week one? And I guess how confident are you guys overall?
Well, I'm, like I say up here when I'm up here, I'm excited, and their challenge is going 1-0. So I'm excited to see how it goes together. As a coach, that's what every year is. Every year is a different year, and your group, how they develop the identity together as they play. The good part is a lot of our players that were out have experience either in the system with us, with each other, like Jordan Hicks. So they can grab things, maybe seeing it in a meeting and not having to have a rep. Rodney McLeod, Jordan Hicks. And so that part's really good, where there's a couple things even today. We just got done with meetings and walkthrough where, hey, Jordan, remember this happened to you with Coach Schwartz at Philly. Yeah, I got you, Coach. And he does, because he's a vet. So that part's good. But we are really excited to see them all play together, and we're really excited to see them all play, because we're going to need everybody, like we said.
With Mahmoud, did he make that jump that you were talking about, where you think he can step in and play defense much more
than he did last year? And where have you seen that biggest growth from him?
Yes, and the biggest growth is a little bit like I talk with Jeremiah sometimes, being able to go take a deep breath after the play, because Mahmoud plays hard and he's physical and we love him. But it's to be able to let that go, and then the next play is going to be the best play you ever play. That's where his thing is. However you do it, take a deep breath, hit your helmet a little bit, whatever it is, he's gotten better at going to the next play. And that's all we want. He's going to play hard. And when he gets his chances in these upcoming weeks, that's what we want to see. Go to the next play. If it's your job to make the calls, make the calls. And I think he'll stay in that mindset as we go forward.
How about Dak? What can you say about Dak and just how well he's been playing, how good he is, and what are you guys thinking about when he comes in?
Well, we are going to have to execute. We're going to have to be in our right spots with whatever the calls are, with our mix of different coverages, whether it's tighter coverages or more zone or whatever we're doing on that play, because he's really good he's gotten better and better at analyzing defenses. And he knows they get him out of the huddle early so that he can see things and look over the defense. And he's just gotten better at that throughout his career. So that's our challenge. Now, we need the dog pound to make this hard on him in our house, so we're excited to see you guys, by the way, but we need our advantage to help us with our different things. And it's our job as a defense to, get going and play with great passion so that, in that environment, we can take over.
Jeremiah, obviously signing that extension, we know the expectation for him on the field, but does that also come with higher expectations off the field as far as his leadership in that room and kind of what his responsibilities are?
He's growing up and on and off the field every day. He just keeps getting better at realizing things and thinking through things and building his processes. So we just really need him to stay in that process, because for me, it's still going to be those two things. It's going to be keep your body in get your body right, get it as it can, and then each play, whatever it is, just focus on that play. Those two things that we've talked about for the last year and a half is really where he needs to be, and he's been doing that throughout the time in camp. He's really gotten the joint practices were really good for him. It was really good for him to focus on just that play, and he was flying around. And so that's where we're going to stay with him. Stay in that deal. Leadership is I'm up here talking with my hands. It's just leadership comes from being confident in yourself, knowing your job, and then being who you are at all times. Just be who you are. That's all we need him to be, is be himself. And when he's himself, having all that energy, we all feel it.
Earlier this year talked about, in relation to Jeremiah, that it might be time for him to just be on the field for almost every play. Is that something you think is probably on the menu for him in terms of like his workload in each game?
Yeah, we're doing situational football today. So in a lot of the situational football, we're training him in addition to some of the other guys to be able to do all those roles. So yes, there'll be more and more. There's still going to be times where, we're talking about rotation, especially early in the football season. We need to play everybody, so we know we want to get as many of these as we can so we can keep playing, right? So there's going to be some rotation at the position. There just is. The closer you get to the ball, D-line linebackers, they roll a little more because those are the hardest positions to play because of this. You got to chase the ball all the time. The offense knows where we're going. We don't. We just got to chase the brown thing and make plays. But there's going to be some rotation. The answer is yes, he's training in all situations now.
We've talked a lot with just everybody about the influence that Mike Vrabel's had in different areas, and I know he's focused a lot on like tight ends and kind of working with the offensive guys and giving them like perspective. But given that linebacker's his natural position, how much of a resource has he been for you, for the guys in that room, and whatnot?
Well, Mike's so great at teaching, contact, how to block, how to strike, and he's doing a lot with Bubba that way, but. Linebackers play special teams. It's a 3-word phrase that we say, and it's true. We're all going to be on special teams at some point. So Mike's ability to teach contact and how to defeat it and how to maintain it has been awesome for us, me as a coach, and for the players.
Jordan told us yesterday he was going to have the green dot. I'm curious what goes into that decision. Is it simple as he's a veteran, he's a middle linebacker, so he's out there, or I guess why is he the one with the green dot?
Well, Jordan has been the green dot, but I don't want to say too much about how we're going to use the green dot. So we're going to use all our linebackers. So, but Jordan is the first one to go out with the green dot. He's really good at relaying information, and Coach Schwartz is really good at calling things in and giving reminders, not only for the person in the green dot, but for the whole defense. So Jordan's and he's done that with Coach Schwartz before. So that's why we're starting that way and Jim's really good at how he calls things in and gives little reminders to the defense. I've learned a lot as a coach from how he does that. So the comfort level, how we start, how much of a pro he is, there's many, many reasons why we're starting that way.
All good?
Thanks.
Thanks, guys.
See you guys, Jason.